husband said he was leaving me for his soulmate, I handed him divorce papers. I'd been planning to leave for months. The soulmate. When Derek came home that Tuesday night and asked to talk, I knew exactly what was coming. He had that look, guilty but excited, like a child about to confess something they don't actually regret. We sat at the kitchen table, the same table where we'd planned our wedding 12 years ago, where we'd argued about his late nights at work, where I'd eaten dinner alone for the past 6 months. I've met someone, he said. Her name is Vanessa. She's my soulmate. I know that sounds dramatic, but I've never felt this way before. Not even with you. I took a sip of wine, let him continue. I'm in love with her. Real love. The kind of love where everything just clicks, you know? Where you can't imagine your life without them. He looked at me with actual pity. I'm sorry, Andrea, but I need to be honest. I want a divorce. I stood up, walked to my office, and returned with a manila folder. Set it on the table between us. Sign here and here. Initial the bottom. Derek stared at the divorce papers like they'd materialized from another dimension. When did you? 5 months ago. Filed them. Had my lawyer finalize everything. Just needed your signature. His face went through several emotions at once. Confusion, shock, something that might have been hurt. You were leaving me? I am leaving you. You just happened to announce it first. The hidden truth was simple. I'd been planning my exit since January. Derek thought he'd been sneaking around, but I'd known about his affair since it started. Vanessa from his office. Late night meetings, weekend conferences, hotel receipts in his jacket pocket that he'd forgotten to hide. I'd hired a private investigator, not because I wanted to catch him, but because I needed documentation for the divorce. Virginia was a no-fault state, but evidence of infidelity helped with asset division. While Derek had been falling in love with his soulmate, I'd been meeting with lawyers, opening separate bank accounts, transferring money from our joint investments, securing an apartment across town, and documenting every shared asset. Why didn't you say something? Derek's voice cracked. We could have worked on this, could we? When was the last time you asked me about my day, my work, anything about my life? He had no answer. I'm a senior architect now. Got promoted in March. You didn't notice. I've been working on the Riverside development, biggest project of my career. You've never asked about it. Your soulmate works 3 cubicles away from you and you didn't even see me disappearing. That's not fair. Fair. You're leaving me for another woman and you want to talk about fair? Derek signed the papers that night, stunned into compliance. He moved out the next morning, called Vanessa to pick him up. She arrived in a red convertible, looking young and excited. She waved at me through the window. I waved back. Let them have their moment. The crisis came 2 weeks later. Derek called 17 times in one day. I finally answered. She's not who I thought she was. His voice sounded hollow. Vanessa. She's different now that we're actually together. She wants things, expensive things, and she talks constantly about herself. I didn't notice before because we were sneaking around, so our time was limited, but now, Derek, yeah? I don't care. I hung up. The turning point came at my new apartment. Small, modern, overlooking the river. I'd furnished it exactly how I wanted. Minimalist, clean, no compromises. My own space. I hosted a dinner party 3 months post-divorce. Friends I'd neglected during the marriage. My sister, colleagues from work. We drank wine, laughed too loud, stayed up until midnight talking about architecture and travel and dreams. My friend Khalil, a landscape designer I'd worked with for years, stayed late helping me clean up. You seem different, he said. Lighter? I am lighter. I spent 12 years trying to make someone love me the way I needed. Now I just get to be myself. That's beautiful. We'd been circling each other for months. Professional boundary that suddenly felt unnecessary. Do you want to get coffee sometime? He asked. Not as colleagues, as something else. Yes, I really do. The comeback wasn't about finding someone new. It was about finding myself again. Khalil and I took it slow. He actually listened when I talked about my work, asked questions, showed up to my project unveilings, made me feel seen. 6 months after the divorce finalized, the Riverside development won a regional design award. I accepted the trophy at a ceremony. My team cheered. Khalil was in the front row, beaming. Derek sent a congratulations text. I always knew you were talented. I didn't respond. I heard through mutual friends that he and Vanessa had broken up, that he was dating someone else now, still searching for that perfect soulmate connection. The beautiful ending was realizing I didn't need someone to complete me. I was already whole. A year later, Khalil and I moved in together. Not because we had to, but because we wanted to. We kept our separate spaces, his studio, my office, but shared everything else. I love you, he said one morning over coffee. I love you too. Do you think we're soulmates? He asked, half joking. I think soulmates are something you build, not something you find. I think it's showing up every day and choosing each other. He smiled. Then yeah, we're building that. Derek had been right about one thing. He needed to be honest. His confession had freed us both. He just assumed he was the only one ready to leave. Sometimes the most satisfying revenge is letting someone think they broke your heart when you'd already packed your bags. I didn't lose a husband. I found myself.